This season had been bountiful, and the tribe moved at a slow pace, burdened with wagons and a long chain of captives. Gurkhan stepped aside from the column, watching as the horde marched steadily past him. The Dolgan riders were weighed down with spoils of war, their horses trudging under the weight of bulging saddlebags filled with gold. Gurkhan recalled the fierce battle against the Kislevites. Many of his warriors had fallen to the missiles from their cursed armored war wagons, bristling with small cannons and packed with fighters. He smiled grimly at the memory of their defeat by fire. Now, hundreds of Kislevite captives trudged by, backs bent beneath the weight of chains and scarred by the lashes of slave drivers, men, women, and children alike. For many days, Gurkhan led the tribe eastward at a pace that was as slow for the horsemen as it was punishing for the captives. Finally, the highlands of Zorn Uzkul began to give way to the rolling hills beyond. Even this land was barren, a harsh terrain of rock and sparse grass that offered little nourishment, even for the hardy Kurgan ponies. The Dolgans had traversed these paths many times, knowing where to find water and where to hunt the lean wild goats that could sustain them until they reached more fertile ground. Many captives stumbled and fell along the way, their bodies dragged along by the relentless pace of the column, until a rider dismounted to cut the mangled corpses free of their chains. Among the Dolgans, there were also deaths as warriors succumbed to wounds sustained in battle or to disputes among themselves. The Dolgans were proud and quick to take offense, often settling matters with a quick and bloody fight. After weeks on the road, the tribe reached the mouth of a broad valley that Gurkhan knew well. It was a valley where numerous small streams flowed from the hillsides, converging into a fast-running river that widened and became a broad, dark waterway. From the heights of the valley, the distant river could be seen twisting and turning, its banks lush with green grass. This was the Dolgans' pasture land, a place of respite that would replenish their stores and fatten their horses before the move to the winter pastures further south. But before they continued their journey, a sacred ritual awaited. Gurkhan sensed the growing anticipation among his people as the moon grew dark and the appointed time approached. If the captives sensed what was to come, they gave no sign, huddling silently in their chains. As they neared their destination, the Dolgan's goal rose slowly from the plain, a vast conical hill that lay in a bend of the river. It was a man-made structure, perfectly shaped, surrounded by smaller mounds that filled the land enclosed by the river's bend. On the second morning after leaving the valley, Gurkhan saw the hill's dark summit for the first time that day. A ring of ancient black stone stood upon its peak, worn smooth over ages, rising starkly against the sky. At the sight of this sacred place, the warriors cheered and called out to their gods. The prisoners cowered in fearful uncertainty. Gurkhan smiled with a knowing look, fully aware of the dangers and rewards that the coming ritual held. This was the culmination of the Dolgans' war, a night of reckoning between the tribe and their gods. Sacrifices would be thrown into the pyre that burned atop the great mound. Hundreds of souls would be offered, drawing the gods down to witness the deeds of the Dolgans and pass their judgment. In the flames, the great god would manifest, and young warriors would be chosen and marked for greatness with iron brands heated in the sacrificial fire. The old warriors would receive their rewards, as well those who had drunk blood from gold-bound skulls and whose souls already walked in the brutal warrior paradise of chaos. Most crucially, the ceremony would confirm the chieftain's power. Gurkhan would stand before the gods, ready to face any who dared to challenge his leadership. Reward or damnation was a game he had played nearly 20 times already, and even in his old age, he remained as strong and unyielding as ever. The drumbeats ceased abruptly, leaving only the crackling of fire and the snapping of splintering bones to fill the silence. All eyes were fixed on Gurkhan, for none dared to gaze upon the shifting, glittering shapes that rose and shimmered in the flames. I, Gurkhan, name the Dolgans as my people in the name of Tsiench, the changer of the ways, he declared, his voice booming as he drew himself to his full height, towering above the tallest warrior by 2 yards. The gods had indeed been kind to him over the years. His eyes, numerous and bright as stars, swiveled on their stalks, searching for any sign of a challenger, He raised his long, jointed arms to the sky, claws clicking and tendrils twitching. The flames blazed fiercely, an unholy joy in their dance. A shape began to form within the fire, a shape reminiscent of Gurkhan himself, but twisted and inhuman. Words formed in the flames, and the Dolgans cried out in pain, covering their ears, for the judgment of Tseentch was agony to mortal senses. Child of chaos, who art ever beloved of the fire, time upon time, this earth is done, the words came from the flames as Gurkhan approached, his segmented body glowing red in the terrible heat. His legs clawed uncertainly as if compelled by a will not his own. With a final, piercing scream, he was gone, consumed by his god. The image in the flames grew clearer, resembling Gurkhan even more closely. A strong, salty scent wafted over the stunned Dolgans. The flames spoke again. Gurkhan is with us now and sustains us. It is time for the trial by combat, for Tseentch decrees that there will be a new chieftain among the Dolgans, one who will be great in his service to chaos.